Winter, spring, summer, fall, seasons change, we still keep it together.
Hey, Beverly Hills 90210 fans! Are you ready to dive deep, episode by episode, storyline by storyline, character by character, as we break down the making of your favorite zip code? With your hosts, Charles Rosen.
Did I say that?
Larry
This
Mollin.
heinous thing about the real person, and we go, what? We're getting rid of this guy.
Pete Ferriero.
I'm feeling wonderful. Kathleen looks TV crush-worthy.
Like so many special guests. And all your questions. Live on the Beverly Hills 90210 show. Oh, yeah.
Well, here we are on the Beverly Hills 90210 show. Very exciting stuff going on, Larry. Hey, somebody's going to say hello to us. Our friend.
Look, what's going on?
I'm dancing.
He's a big Elisa Donovan fan. Probably his daughters probably watched Clueless over and over and over and over and
Oh
over.
my God, yes. I mean, I know I did. Well, anyway, but Charles is with us because he wanted to talk about something. He gave me a call today and said he wanted to talk about something. So,
Well, let's start into it by talking baseball. Tomorrow is a major day for me and my emotional sports fandom and movie fandom to know that the New York Yankees are playing the Chicago White Sox on a cornfield in Iowa. That comes from my favorite movie in the top 5 of all time, Field of Dreams.
Sure.
You know, I was telling Pete, it was the only movie that Karen and I were in the theater together, that we were watching the end credits, and she's ready to move, and I am sitting still in my seat, bawling my eyes out. You know, we had Berkeley grad who had father issues and loved playing baseball and had left his politics in the middle of Iowa. You know, it was my kind of story. You know,
for sure.
I don't know. Did you like the movie? Did you ever see
I loved it. I loved it. Yeah, no, it's poetry, pure. You know, it was just
really
magical realism. You know, that's what's called magical realism.
Yeah, it was really.
I like that form.
Chuck Gordon was the producer. Was someone I knew pretty well, and I always would slather because. What do you mean you produced that movie? You know, I didn't know that. We would have done a TV movie together 12 years before.
Well, we bring this up too because, in case people are wondering, there's nothing more American than baseball, but there's nothing else not more than American than America's zip code.
America's zip code.
That's right, and I want to make an appeal to find the fan, help us find the super fan in Iowa, where this is set.
Where are the Iowa fans?
I've actually love Iowa and campaigned in Iowa for John Edwards. That's a separate channel. That's a separate chapter in the book. And but nonetheless, someone's got to be out there somewhere, labor organizer or school teacher or mother of a couple of kids. We need you. And who loves baseball. We really need you.
We're plotting the show, and we want you all to join us. Send me an email, peter@beverlyhills90210show.com. Let us know where you're coming from and what you want to represent. We've got some really good ones, Larry, right?
I know. We really want to hear the stories of how it was watching the show and what it meant to you and where you were. We want to get the kind of on-the-ground, boots-on-the-ground view of the show. Right. And I know we just added Virginia this week, Ann Fernando. And
I love her.
She has a really interesting story of how, of the show and what it meant to her. And I think there's like 50 stories like that. And we're going to try to bring in 50 celebrities, more stars than are under heaven. And it's going to be a big event that's going to also celebrate the 31st anniversary of the premiere of the show, Chuck.
Well, with the stars,
October 6th.
Do a regional breakdown.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yes.
Maybe so.
Definitely. But at the same time,
I mean, like North Dakota and South Dakota certainly will be together.
Well, we'll see. We never know. We might get some, a friend in North Dakota that has a friend in South Dakota.
I'm really happy. I mean, we've done really well in the South. We're doing great in the South.
I remember. You remember in the national ratings, what was comprised of that, and what Fox had was the big. We had a lot of big city stations. So we have someone from Florida, right, Larry?
Yes.
If Pete says yes, I haven't seen the spreadsheet.
My hunch is we don't have anybody from Texas.
We have, I'll tell you right now, and I feel good about we're going to get Oklahoma, but we have Louisiana. I know we have Arkansas.
We have Arkansas,
Georgia. We have Virginia.
Well, we have California. We have New York. We have New Jersey.
Washington.
I'm talking the Lone Star State.
Oh, there's got to be tons of people
who did not watch us.
Yeah.
I need to be convinced after all these years that we have at least one fan in Texas who did watch us, because the ratings said, nope, Chuck, sorry, no fans in Texas.
Oh my, what about? I think we have a fan in Oklahoma. I'm thinking Tracy Hatfield.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Before we let Charles go, because we want to get to the Ginger episode, are you super excited? Next week we have Jenny Garth here doing Kelly Taylor. I think that's going to be just so exciting. What are you thinking, Charles? What do you want to talk about?
I've actually in the crazy week it's been for me, I nonetheless have thought about that episode a while and what to say about, from my perspective, of some of these major moments that happened in the course of the 5 years.
Yeah,
of us working together, that you just changed the series and happened for the better because Jenny is Jenny.
Exactly. I mean, I'm really excited for that. So that's next week. Charles, thank you for stopping by. Always good seeing you, buddy.
Red Sox are winning today, so I'm happier.
I've been feeling your pain, dude. I understand.
Yeah.
All
of our changes.
Talk about that with you.
Well, we'll deal with that next week when I'm
exactly. We'll be in a Mets game.
Yeah.
All right. See you later.
Good seeing you, man. All right. We're going to run this, and then we'll be back with everybody.
Okay. Do you know we have even more new shirts and merchandise at Beverly Hills 90210showshop.com? For instance, watch our Planet 90210 show with some sick Planet 90210 merch. Or want to celebrate at the Peach Pit? Check out this new shirt with a photo from Jill Henkel's collection. Or, oh my God, I know Claire Arnold fans are going to love this one. A little sex, rock, and really decent literature. Plus, for all you Larry Mollin fans, that's right, a Get Out of Here shirt. And don't forget about our classic designs. We keep loading it up with more items each week, so head over to Beverly Hills 90210showshop.com for all your 90210 stuff.
All right. That's an old ad, but we just needed something to fill the
Good.
place.
Elisa.
Hi.
To be with us. So glad.
Oh my gosh. It's my pleasure. I love it.
Did you get to watch the shows? Did you watch this?
So I started to watch. I only got to watch the first three. I didn't get to the fourth one. I had forgotten. I made myself blush a little bit. She was really getting into some business from the beginning. I went, oh my goodness.
There's always a trick for writers when you have a bad character. The only way you can make people like them is they find out a worse character. And so we basically created you to kind of help Valerie's character.
Right.
And also in the end, if you'd seen the last one, it's kind of cool because we use you and your demands to sleep with David to basically break up David and Valerie, which we needed to do. And that was their sweeps. That was a sweeps episode in February. So we thought highly of the electricity between you two.
Yeah.
Also want to say hello to our friend Sarah Hearon.
Hi guys.
From Us Weekly. How are you? How's everything at Us Weekly? What's going on? Anything? What's the latest breaking news that we need to know about right now?
Oh God. I mean, nothing. The summer is so slow. It's all Bachelorette BS, which I won't bore you with because it's all, roses. But yeah, I'm excited to be back here.
It's good to have you. It's great, but we love Bachelor stuff here. I think.
The Bachelor and Bennifer. That's all we got going.
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah. Neither do I.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Well,
sounds good.
You're lucky.
Before you start even talking about the episode, Elisa, you have a book out, right? And I mean, Us Weekly will love this. I mean, there's a ton of information and things. You're talking about everything in this. It's called Wake Me Up. Nope. It's called Wake Me When You Leave. And you can get it everywhere that place books are, right?
Yeah. I'm curious. I read about it. I'm going to get it. But yeah, you survived Hollywood. You look fantastic.
Yeah.
I totally understand. At least the book, and I don't want any spoilers particularly, but or unless you want to give them. But
yeah,
I think that's good though. It's good. As a novelist myself, I know how hard it is to do a book, so I really admire that.
And this is really about a specific period of time when all these things that were really Sabrina was canceled, my relationship ended, so I went from having this love life that and everything was going right. And then suddenly I went, oh, not going the way I think. That's really what the book is about, and healed through that. And my dad came really special.
You're cutting out at least.
Let's take 1 second because
you're cutting out a little bit. Yeah, we're having like a technical issue with you.
You think it's too close to the mic, Pete? Maybe? Or?
No, I think it's a Wi-Fi thing. I think something is happening on the Wi-Fi end.
Shutters, come on.
And Shutter, come on, Shutters.
I think if she
hold on.
She should probably leave the studio in the bottom and come right back in. It'll clear it.
That usually does work.
Okay.
And that little bottom, exactly.
All right.
I have to ask her one question about Sabrina before we go to.
Yeah, she loves great in Sabrina too.
Absolutely.
Did she play a bad character in Sabrina?
She wasn't like not like Ginger bad, but she also wasn't like Sabrina either.
Well,
she's one of her roommates.
Let's get into it, Larry, and we'll have her pop in. I want to ask you about the idea that you, right at the beginning of the season 6, that Valerie's our bad girl, right? All of through season 5, and then we're like, hey, we need someone even hey, there she is. Okay, before you
answer, much better.
Okay.
You look great. Okay, go ahead. Talk to me about the book again. I'm sorry about that.
You know what's funny? Part of this book is it is a spiritual book, and so every time something goes out digitally, I'm thinking, oh, that's my dad who's like, knock knock. So it's
right, of course.
Basically.
Yeah.
It's about this period of time where everything fell apart in my life, and then I had to put it back together. And in the end, my dad came to me in these dreams that helped me to heal and remedy my life. So it's really a hopeful book, but it's also funny because when it all hits the fan, it's also funny. It's
sure
it's horrible, but it's also funny.
I mean,
yeah.
That sounds great. I have to ask you one Sabrina question. Do you remember the producer Ken Cook?
Of course, yes.
He was also producer series of mine, The New Gidget, for a couple of years. I loved Ken, and
I adore Ken. He just he just reminded me of like this very happy teddy bear all the time. He was always like, "What's happening?" Like, how's it going today? Everyone's like, we're having a terrible day. He's like, no, you're not. Exactly. It's great.
He was a pros pro. Pros pro with an Ohio State hat with 2 beer cans on it.
Lots of great comments. Lisa says, Elisa, you're gorgeous. Allison says,
oh, thank you.
Beautiful. And everybody's excited to have you here and talk about your time on 90210, which is an interesting time period for you, I'm sure, right?
Yes, I loved it so much. I had just, let's see. So first of all, if Larry, you might remember this, that I tested with Tiffany for her part. It was Tiffany, myself, and Meredith Salinger. Oh. And so I was so devastated that I didn't get it. And then the next year I came back and I was ecstatic. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I do remember that. But I mean, we all admired your work because you had been in Clueless before that. And when we started that season, Pete was asking what happened with the thing. Chuck was gone, and the parents were gone, and we were just trying to shake it up. And we knew we were going to break up Donna and Valerie. We were going to start with
David and Valerie.
We were going to break them up, so we were going to. We needed something really cool for that, and so we just reached into Valerie's past and and invented Ginger, but you brought so much vivacity to it. I had forgotten the entrance, which is fantastic in the first episode. Brandon comes back. You saw it.
That was, I think, the first. If I'm not mistaken, it might have been the first scene that I shot. Wow. And I felt like, dear God, how am I going to do this? And Jason, who I'm sure everyone knows, is just such a lovely human being. He was so kind to me, and I was very scared about the whole thing. And he just came into my dressing room and he was like, look, so this is weird, right? But we're not going to make it weird. Like, everybody knows this is awkward, but we're going to be fine. And and he just immediately put me at ease. And I thought, that is the way that you do it. That is how you just meet it head on and just made me feel comfortable, and everybody did. And it's a little intimidating because they had all been together for a lot of years, most
This
of
is
the
season
cast.
6 years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I want to ask about that was just said. For Larry, I want to ask you a question. Elisa mentioned doing the test for Valerie, I guess, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
So I'm curious, Larry, if you could put us in a room like that and everybody's looking at the tapes or the performances, and how do those decisions happen, and who gives input, and what was it about that says, okay, we're going Tiffany? Is it because Tiffany's coming off of this thing? Is it an Aaron Spelling thing? What is that process like, to give the fans some insight into that process?
First of all, there's some things happen which you can't control, and that's why, as Elisa knows, in auditioning, it's a numbers game. Sometimes you look too much like the other star, you're too tall for the boy. There's just things. Sometimes those numbers fall in your favor, which is good, and sometimes they don't. There's just nothing you can do. But usually, in the times I'm there, you want everyone to be great. You want it to be like so exciting, especially as a writer. You're hearing your words and stuff, so you're going like, "Oh, this is so great! They're even better than I thought." I'm getting new ideas. I'm writing ideas down. I need to write new things, which in your case it was like, because you had so much vivacity to it, brought so much life. But in the Valerie stuff, it was a Buffalo character. I think we probably thought she might have been too well known for that at that point, in a certain way, for the one character that she played in Clueless. But I think now, I'm trying to be honest, I think there was a little bit of an age thing too. I think you were, I'm not quite sure how old, but I think we thought,
I was
Tiffany
a little bit older.
You were a little bit older. So that was that, because we were really feeling the heat we had felt the heat for the Gabriella, God bless her.
Right.
Everyone knew that she was, and also for Ian, they were on the edge of it, of the age range for not suspending disbelief, so to speak.
Right.
So that also, again, that is a factor you couldn't control. So it was easier to bring you in for Ginger, which the age wasn't such a factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a large part of it, because you certainly it was right in your wheelhouse, the part. It was like a deceptive,
that's my area.
Vivacious female.
On the other side of that, for you, Elisa,
threw that stuff off. I mean, it looked like so easy. You're so delightful. Like you really inhabited the character. Because I had forgotten, not to spin ahead on Pete, but it just keeps getting worse and worse. Valerie's friend becomes your worst enemy.
Completely. When I got to the flying high, I went, "Oh my gosh, she's really just."
But for you, Elisa, I want to ask you about that same thing about the auditioning for Valerie. You just come off of Clueless. You're probably auditioning for a lot of things, right? I mean, so what was that experience like for you? Going in for 90210, it's a big show. It's a big part. Shannon had left. And this is the thing that you would be kind of, you're not going to be Brenda, but you're going to be the new Brenda to a degree, right?
So I think that I might be wrong. I think that the Valerie test was before we shot Clueless. I think that was the same year. Mm-hmm. I think. And so I also think that partly I could have been I had only done I did a couple episodes of Blossom, I think, and I don't think I had a lot of experience at the time, so that could have also been a factor. I think, because when you
had done Clueless, I know that.
Yes, because I remember that we were shooting something. I think it was my first episode, and the premiere of Clueless was happening, and I had to get picked up from set to go, and I'm getting picked up in this giant limo, and everybody's kind of like, who's the new kid? Like, why is she getting picked up in a limo? I was like, I gotta go. And I was late, I think, to the premiere. I kind of didn't miss it altogether, but because we were shooting. So I think it's
all happening around the same time, you mean?
I'm going to reach out to our professor of teen dramology, Sherry Weiss, to please give us the timeline for this.
Timeline on that.
And before the end of the show, please.
Yes.
But so I felt so, it's just intimidating. It's all so intimidating, especially as a young actor. That environment is just, you feel like you leave your body. I remember, and maybe this was actually in the test for Valerie, in that at Fox, that it was very intimidating to me. And being in that office, I felt like, I think it was that test when I went in there, and I just kind of lost time for a minute, and you're kind of smiling like, hello, everyone, and everyone's looking at you going, and it's your time to speak now, and I think I had that moment maybe in there briefly, and then kept going. But I certainly felt more comfortable going back for Ginger because I felt like they already know who I am. They want to see me. And I felt just more comfortable.
Yeah.
And as I remember, the sides, so to speak, for the audition included the end of the thing monologue to Ginger, the phone call, which you see the duplicity of the character. So I remember having to write that scene early. That was from Yeah, I know
what you're talking about.
The Valerie scene. It was from how I spent my season vacation and summer vacation in season 5. Yeah, we wrote that early because it was the testing was going on. I mean, Shannon was out by the end of May, and we were already shooting in July. So somehow she got cast. It would have been in July.
Right.
A lot of people are asking in the chat about you doing episodes of Blossom too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I played Joey. That was the first job that I come from New York. I went to college in New York and did theater and was going to stay. And then I came out to LA to work with my agency, and I booked Blossom right away. And I played Joey Lawrence's girlfriend. And if anyone remembers, he was the kind of ditzy character. He wasn't good hair, and she was his equivalent. She was just as ditzy, and I had this crazy laugh because I think he had a crazy laugh. So it was like this match made in heaven. And I think it was for one episode, and then they wrote me into another episode or two, I think.
That's always a great feeling. Yeah,
that's great.
Yes.
I want to show you the clip that you were talking about. Hopefully it plays.
I wonder who's been sleeping in Papa Bear's bed.
This is great.
Hi.
Good morning.
You must be Brandon.
I must be dreaming. Would you mind telling me what the hell you're doing here?
Anyway, this is amazing.
It's great when you can deliver a character. It's just delightful.
You have not aged.
No, thank you.
You look awesome. Wow.
Jason never thanks us enough for writing these situations. He was never grateful enough.
You would expect a long letter. Larry, thank you.
He's looking
Elisa
back.
Donovan, thank you for Captain Robertson.
We tell this story, but it's true. In the writer's room, we had a little sign that said, "Kissing is good."
Right.
Kissing is good.
Just to remind us.
Okay, so now you come into the world. This is the first moment that you're in. You just talked a little bit about that. You did not get Valerie, but what do? You come in and you're just ready for it. But this is a big world. This is 90210. So is it intimidating beyond doing this first thing? Is the world of 90210? Oh my God, there's Jenny, there's Tori, there's this one. Is it intimidating walking into that? And you had Clueless at this point now, right?
Yes. So it's always intimidating when you're the person that's coming into an established group of people, which is why when we did Clueless, the series, and when I did Sabrina, I felt like I always tried to be extra welcoming to guest stars because it's such a, and sometimes it's not because anyone is unkind. It's just because they all have a language with each other and an ease, and you just kind of are the new person trying to figure it out. So I definitely worried about that, but everybody was so welcoming. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. And Jason, I think because I had to work so much with him in that first one, that he really set the tone for me and he made me feel comfortable. And Tiffany was terrific. And then Jenny and Tori and I would have lunch together. Everybody was very welcoming to me. And then I just loved it. And Luke was so kind. We didn't really have any scenes together, and he would just kind of, check in and see like her. And then he would ask like, so what's it like out there? And I said, what do you mean? And he's like, just, in the world
Luke would normally say, how are the bitches treating you?
That's he said.
Is that what he would say?
Say to guest stars. Yes.
He was just saying, like, TV scripts and things, because they had been together for a long
He's
time.
gearing
And
up to leave.
and he went, right. That's exactly, I think. And he was saying, what are the scripts like? It was just so funny to me because I felt like, I don't know, but I think this one's great. I'm just going to work on this one right now,
All right. So you get the character of Ginger. She's devious. She's all these things. What is it like when you get the script and you start reading it and you're, diving further into it?
Oh, I mean, to me, most of the characters that I have played have always had they're like the spice in the soup. So I always try to approach them with what do they really want? Why are they this way? Instead of trying to just make it this caricature. And
Sure.
so, but she was just so fun because she just was exactly who she was, was unafraid. So that's always really helpful to play someone if you're feeling any kind of intimidation. She does not give two what have yous, she was just like, I am here and I am going to scrap together a life. And if I can hook one of these people, my life's going to be better. She just was on a program.
Yeah.
And it was so fun. And then to have everybody else's reaction, the other characters responding to her like, oh my goodness.
In the second episode, you think her character is over, which is because looking at her character and looking at what we did, she was in episodes 1 and 2, and
That's
then
right.
episodes 20 and 21. We brought
That's
her back for the February sweeps,
right?
Because we knew we could really mix it up and really harm David and Valerie's burgeoning romance, and really get Valerie, hoisted on her own petard kind of thing, and which is what we did. And but looking at it again,
going back to those first 2 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Because in your world, you've got a lot going on. Ray is going to be gone, right?
Yeah.
You
should say that Jessica and Steve were taken over for Chuck at this point, and they were the ones who wrote the first episode and brought the character in, and Jessica wish she was here because she had a lot to do also with the casting of Elisa.
But so
she did, right? I remember, yeah.
Jamie
absolutely.
Walters is
Jamie Walters now we've been told has to go, so we got to kind of angle that thing down in a gentle way, and
it's not going gently.
And then again, I use this phrase like characters have to serve the show, and that's what the Ginger character did, because she's going to help us, start harming Ray's character more,
right?
By making him look like a thief, and it's so cool because. At first you think she's just doing it, but then when you find out that it really is just a plot of Valerie's to look good, like a false flag operation, then oh my God. I mean, it's just so Valerie. So we were very proud of that. I mean, I think, all of us felt we kind of had been true to our characters and we had earned those moments. So that was kind of good.
Yeah. There's a lot of that stuff going on. And then, so we've got the Jamie Walters thing sort of playing out in the background. I mean, I'm curious for you, Elisa, because what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of drama happening, right? You're a guest, but you're not in their world. There's the drama that's happening that you have to bring it to the character, and then there's all this stuff that's happening behind the scenes. Do you become immersed in all of that? Do you find out like, well, Jamie's gone and the Chuck is gone and there's a new writer and
what is
What a stupid question.
I don't remember being aware of any of those changes. I do remember everybody talking about that Jamie was leaving and some of the logistical things, but I don't remember.
Luke was leaving also. He left that.
And that Luke was leaving.
Luke was also leaving, right?
Yes. So that was also, when you're around that, it's funny. For example, when I started Sabrina, my 5th episode was their 100th episode. So there was a 100th party and, press and all this stuff. And people were like, what does it feel like to be 100 episodes? I was like, it feels like 5, And so like much with Luke, like he's leaving and everybody's having all these feelings. And I'm feeling like I feel for you, but I don't know, I couldn't, it was like, wasn't my place to have big feelings about it, because I didn't, but I understood that was happening.
So you're aware of all the behind the scenes things.
Oh yeah. Well, everybody was they were such a, and I also remember there were I feel like there were romances that had changed since the first time I was there and the second time. And I just kind of tried to stay out. I didn't, I could just see, it seems like these two people aren't talking so much. Or are they talking? Or like or maybe it was at the beginning when I was there. I don't know, but I always felt like I'm just gonna, if it's given to me the information, I will respond. If it isn't, I'm not asking any questions.
Don't ask, don't tell. That worked.
Yeah.
That's right. I don't know if it did. Sarah, do you have any questions for Elisa about any of this stuff that's happening?
I do. My first question is, I read that you based your Clueless character off of like real life Mean Girls you knew. Was Ginger based off of any real life, schemers you knew?
That is true about Clueless. She was more based off of, probably maybe a combo of the meanies that I knew, and more like, what would it be like to just take up that much space and just not care, and actually really just say, this is what I want. Because you can see initially Brandon's response is, hey, now, no. And then he's like, well, maybe.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, what would it be like to be that person who
represents us all,
who just will keep going until they can get what they want?
And I imagine it must be so fun to get to play like mean girls, but did you ever like just like want like a super nice girl role?
I did. So then I didn't get to play nice people until I could be a mom, and I wouldn't even get cast as a mom until I was almost 40. Wow. Because people would think, she's
got such good skin.
Oh yeah, she's got too good of skin. No, but I think they just felt like I was too young, and I kept saying, I am like the clock is ticking on me too. Like I am. But yes, I did. There was a certain point where I felt as though it would be nice if you show up and people like you. Like when you're playing something that people actually. They like you instead of not like you.
It's funny because I think all these years later, they actually do like you. You know what I mean? It's like that turns from like, I love that character. I love how I feel about that character. This is what's great about looking back at the 90s and all that stuff these days. I liked you then, so I don't know what's wrong with me.
Thank you.
Hey, one thing, Pete, I had forgotten that we had tried to hook her up with the other character, Jonathan. Like,
did you?
I had totally forgotten that part of it. We had this extra character kind of hanging around,
yeah.
So we kind of try to put the two people together, kind of, and take care of two things at once.
Oh yeah, that was in the last episode that you didn't get to rewatch.
Oh yeah, that's right. So that was the Bleeding Hearts. Yeah, the Valentine's episode.
That one
I would
was
recommend.
good.
Let's just breeze through, see how we end your character.
Yeah, I definitely will.
And so Larry, we have all this stuff of the stealing, and the Martins are Felice Martin doesn't like people taking stuff. She doesn't. So there's a lot going on with the Martins here. I mean, how do you
Everyone hates Ray.
Yeah,
Steve and Ray. Steve goes after Ray. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Steve is like way over the top.
It's amazing they let him around again at all. That after everything that happened, I forgot he was still there. I was like, his hair should have been in.
And then we hang the thing on him. Just so mean. It's so wrong. But then Ray has to take the whole thing for until the next episode. We make people wait a week before they find out that Ray is not the guy who took it.
Yeah.
Right.
But. Now I have to tell a quick story because there was only supposed to be one episode. We were gonna tell that story in one episode, but we got called upstairs to Mr. Spelling's office, and he said, "No, I want to have an extra episode. We're gonna run 2 on the opening day," and we're going, "Oh, okay," And then we realized why he was doing it. So we'd have an episode at 8:00, which became Home is Where the Tart Is, and we had this other one called Buffalo Gal. So we kind of split them up and made more content and spread the story out. But at 9:00 against Fox on CBS was the new Darren Star show, Central Park West. So it was his way of saying, "Fuck you."
Oh my!
and try to blunt his ratings as much as he could.
What in the
that's
world?
just that's Hollywood. I mean, again, how can I succeed if my friends
a
don't
ginger
fail?
move?
Yeah,
that is a ginger moon.
But it turned out great because then we found all this ways to go with the character. That's why it became like an onion. I kept getting unpeeled more and more.
Oh.
It was originally a much simpler story.
I am very grateful for that. Yes.
When did you know you were going to bring her back? Like how?
We probably didn't. Well, probably in the second round of thinking, because that was the February sweeps. So we probably had already gotten over November sweeps, and we had some time to think how we're going to really get that middle of the show before the end. We knew the end of the season. We didn't know that February part. And then, just remembered, we have David and Valerie, and we just thought she was so memorable and so it made such a strong impression that we could just bring her back at sweeps, and we're going to get, people are going to want to watch. It's compelling to watch these two bad girls.
But Larry, I'm curious about the concept that Ginger's back, and it's almost like people said that it's like this indecent proposal thing, right?
Yeah, we kind of certainly had that aspect to it. But that's probably why we put the Jonathan hook in there too, because at least give her that option. Then when she doesn't go for that, well, then what's Valerie going to do? She's going to expose her to the girls, and she's basically extorting her. And what the hell, David? It's not going to. She knows that. She's got some gifts that David will have a good time, and she doesn't think it's going to be a bad time because she's ethically challenged. Let's not forget. Like, she's from Buffalo. We have this Buffalo mafia of.
Yes.
I'm going to use a word here. Now, don't anyone get upset, but I'm just thinking this word, skank. It's out there. It's out there. But again, that's kind of what how we didn't. But I didn't even realize we were doing that to the character until I've looked at these episodes this week. It was that pronounced. But anyway, that's what I was thinking when I heard that.
So, but Elisa, for you, do you remember the time when you got the call back, like, hey, they want to bring back Ginger?
Oh, yes. When I left, I just hoped that I was going to come back in general. I hoped that I would. And then I remember in my mind going, well, they're shooting things for sweeps right now with all the shows, basically. So for November, and I went, well, I guess I'm not coming back for that. And then, I was really,
we always
really
would wait,
thrilled.
We typically would like to wait, and let it simmer a bit,
Simmer,
and
right.
again, it's a show with so many moving parts. I'm always amazed looking at the season 6 and 7.
Yes,
storylines are going like blah blah blah. And
I was amazed by that too. When I looked back, I did not. I went, oh my gosh, there is a lot going on here that is being covered.
I know. Then you have the whole because then you have
casual
the whole
drug
opening.
abuse.
I don't know if you watched
casual drug abuse. Yes.
Well, you have the whole Colin thing, the whole opening of Home is Where the Tart Is, where they're having mile high sex.
Yes,
like anonymous mile high sex.
Yes.
You watching the episode back?
Obviously, I was just in my glory.
You in the bedroom with Jason. Like, this is all the things that are happening right off the bat.
I know.
College
I
years,
so proud
baby.
Of this,
Right.
You like to your kids, hey, come watch mommy's old show that she did.
I know.
Really safe show.
How old is your daughter, Elisa?
She's 9. She just turned 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, my husband, this is actually a great story. We met in Mexico on vacation with friends, and he did not know what I did. He didn't recognize me. He didn't know anything. So then as we start, chatting and talking, eventually, like, what is it you do? Oh, I said, I just work in entertainment. And he said, oh, okay. He works in finance. He doesn't care. So we go on and on. Eventually he says, well, what do you do? And I work in TV and film. Oh, what do you do? And I am an actress. Oh, so I go on the whole thing. And then he's like, have you done anything that I have seen? And I said, well, maybe. And I said, I did this movie called Clueless. And he's like, I didn't see it. And I said, okay, well, I did this movie called Night at the Rock.
Irritate
I go, I did this movie called Night.
How do you not know Clueless? What's wrong?
I was like, well, this is great. And then I said, well, we did a series of that too. No. I did this movie Night at the Roxbury. No, I didn't see it. Well, I did this show called Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. She's like, I never saw that. And then I started to feel like I have a legit career. So now you're making me like prove something to you.
Yeah, it was like girl in sweater.
And then I said, well, I also did a few episodes of 90210, and he went 90210, and then he's like, and then he looked at me and he goes, Ginger.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh my god,
that's amazing.
It was amazing because he and all of his friends in college used to watch the show. It was like an obsessive thing that they all watched it. They had this 8x10 photo of the cast that they would pass around, like whoever would be hazed or something. There's like some story attached to it. And they had this photo.
Game.
So drinking game. And it was, so then as I would meet his friends He'd be like,
Ginger.
oh my God, Ginger Lamonica. His one friend was like, Ginger Lamonica. And I just went, this is
amazing.
hilarious. So it was the only memorable thing
Well,
to
that's
my
wonderful.
husband about my whole career. Yep.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Larry, when you look back at these episodes, are you more proud of the writing of the episodes or the fact that people made drinking games?
Well, it's all part of this. There was no social media then, but we had heard that,
Right.
that every time we would say bro or something, like they would take a drink. So we'd always put lots of bros in there. And then, then we kind of had other things we kind of thought. I also have to say it's a line that started out in the other Ken Cook show, which was New Gidget called. I had this line in an episode called Avocado Heads, and that became kind of a Valerie thing. And then it got repeated again in one of the later episodes with you. I think you throw back at her. I'm not sure if it's the one you didn't see, but you throw back at her the idea that she's become an avocado head.
Yes,
so, yeah, that was I was really happy about that. Like, just kind of dumb stuff like that.
The other thing is we get to see the internet a little bit in one of the episodes when Brandon is sending very early. We see Brandon.
Oh, yes.
I don't even know what
he sends it off.
Oh, that's
not
AOL. That's so great.
I thought of that. I did see that.
I know. The information superhighway we mentioned.
And you can hear the AOL that like when the mail sends that sound. Yeah.
And
by the way, Sherry Weiss, Professor Weiss did chime in with the notes, and you're right. The premiere happened probably like when we were filming.
Yes.
Oh, it did. Yes.
Yeah. So that was the timeline. Thank you, Professor Weiss.
All right. So we have some questions here. People wanted to know from Patreon. This is a long-winded question, but I'm going to try to get it all together. This was Jason. I've been a huge fan of yours since the 90s. I love seeing you on TV movies. Two of my favorites I can remember are 12 Wishes of Christmas that you did with, he says, Gabby Carter.
Yes.
And Framed for Murder that I believe was a Lifetime movie.
Yes.
Are there more television movies in the works coming for you?
First of all, thank you. Second of all, I loved working with Gabrielle. It was super fun. I loved all of those movies, and I don't have any that are in the works at the moment. The film version of my book is in development that I wrote. So we've been, working on that, and I'm going to be directing it. I'm not going to be in it.
Ooh,
but
okay.
I'd be happy to do, another. I did a lot of Christmas movies. For a bunch of years, it was really my time of year. I was
Christmas all
in a lot of Christmas and dog movies, like talking dog family movies.
Gotta love a dog movie.
Mm-hmm.
Joe wants to know, did you enjoy playing such a devious character? We kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yes, so much. I mean, so much. It's incredibly fun. You're just so free. You kind of can't go wrong. It's very fun. Yes.
Someone had a question here for Larry. Larry, how come we didn't get to see Ginger and David? Was that just for our imagination? Well, go ahead. I'll just like.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think we wanted to leave it to the imagination there and just kind of let the thing play out there, whether it really happened or not.
Because we shot something, right? Didn't we shoot the two of us together? And then because I have this memory of these fuzzy slippers that we had, that David and I were laughing about these slippers and that we had to be, and then it wasn't in the episode, but I feel like it was supposed to be dreamlike or something, maybe.
Oh, wow.
I have to go back to the scripts or have, I'll have to do a little research on that or have Professor Weiss do it, but I don't remember. I just don't think we would have. It would have crossed the line, I think, imagination-wise. My head is better to be off screen at that point, because really what we're focusing on David and Valerie.
Yeah. But it's possible because you have this memory of doing some stuff with Brian. But let me ask you about doing.
Oh, yeah, she did stuff with Brian. I mean,
yeah. So what do you remember about Brian Austin Green and working with him?
Oh, he was great too. He was so laid back, like very. By the time that I came back again, I went, hey, I guess it's your turn for us to be together. You're kind of laughing.
That's right. Yeah, Brandon, you go to Steve.
Yeah, exactly. Steve. Yeah.
Vertically integrate the characters.
Yes. But he was great too. It was such a great group of people. It was just a really nice, very welcoming cast to me anyway.
They love the show, so they love their,
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we were talking
and
to,
we would have done double ups when you were there too, probably, because those you would.
Oh yes, that's right.
2 episodes at the same time, and the ones not the first one, the first two, but certainly the second time.
Yes, that's right. You were. I remember that.
At the time, the other guest stars. Well, I think they were regulars at this point, but you had Emma Caulfield, and also, of course, Kathleen Robertson, who I talk about a lot on the show.
I love Kathleen.
Jason Wiles too. Yeah,
Jason Wiles.
Jason, that's right.
Do you find yourself? Do you find that little group kind of connects because of maybe?
I've worked with all of them at various points. I did a movie with Jason years later. Emma and I know each other through mutual friends. I don't know if Emma and I have ever worked together. I don't think we have, but we know one another. And who else did I worked with? And Jason and I worked together. He directed me in this web series for the WB. They were trying to, it was like when they first started doing web series, and we did the upfronts and all of that. It was a group of young kids, and I was one of the parents. I cannot remember the name of the show, but he directed it. So we worked together again. And I feel like, did he and I work on something else? We've crossed paths a bunch of times, Jason and I. And Kathleen, we also have mutual friends. And so I have seen her over the years. And Tiffany, I haven't seen as much, I don't think. But for a few years following, we did. Yeah.
We haven't either. We would love her to come on the show. She will not come on the show, so I don't have no idea what that is.
Maybe idea why she won't come on the show.
Yeah.
Why would she not do that?
I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know.
Get her a text. I'm just kidding. All right.
we have to stay on that, but also Jason Wiles we haven't seen on the show.
Nestor wants to know: does she stay in contact with anyone from Clueless? You just mentioned 90210 or Sabrina.
Mm-hmm. So I do keep in touch with Jason. We email from time to time, and I reached out to him when Luke passed away because I know that they were close. So we connected a little bit at that time. With Sabrina, yes, I see Melissa often. She's a good friend. I keep in touch with David Lasher and Nate and almost everybody from Sabrina. I'm still in touch with. And Clueless, Donald and I are still friends. And I think he's really the only one that I keep in touch with, I think.
Sherry Weiss, the professor, says that the show was called The Lake.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And it was Meredith Lavender and Marcy Yulin were the EPs. They're wonderful writers and producers. They did Nashville, and they just did the flight attendant. No, what's it got nominated? With.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great. Yeah, it's great.
Yes, the flight attendant. Yeah.
Sarah, what else do you've got for Elisa? I'm sure you've got some Clueless stuff that you're just dying to know about. So
well, I mean, I could talk about Clueless forever, but I did also just want to say, can we talk about the difference between Ginger at Lamont and Ginger at Lamonica? Because I thought that was so funny.
That did make me laugh too. I had forgotten that until I watched it.
Yeah.
It's so much better to be,
Yeah, like Lamont and Lamont. I was like, wait, Lamonica's cooler, I guess, but it's not like that big of a change.
Right.
But yeah, I told you before we started, I mean, she could be a farmer in those clothes is the most underrated line from Clueless, and that delivery is just flawless. So
thank you. It is a good one.
Do people come up to you and like say stuff like, or like quote Clueless at you?
They do. For a long time, they do. I mean, for a long time, my daughter just thought that I knew a lot of people, that I just always knew people everywhere, and that they were really excited to see me, like she didn't understand what was happening. And then at one point, someone in her preschool, I think they saw one of the family films, like the dog movies, on an airplane or something. And they came in to school the next Monday, and she said, "Scarlett's mom is a movie star." And all the little kids were like, "What?" And they went, and Scarlett, my daughter, was like, "What?" So she had no idea really of any of it. But
I want to ask you, like, what about when you did 90210? Did you find yourself getting recognized for that?
Yes, so much. Oh my gosh, yes. That probably more. I was in the Beverly Center. I don't know if that even still exists anymore, but the mall, and went up to, I was going to the movies with a girlfriend of mine. And it was the day after the first episode aired, the next day. And we were going to the movies, and we're coming up the escalator, and this swarm of young girls started like pointing and smiling and pointing. And we said, oh, there's somebody famous on the escalator. And so we were looking around and we're like, who is it? Who is it? And we're coming up the top of the escalator, boop. And then they're all looking at me. And I went, oh my gosh, it's me. And my friend was like, it's you. And they went, look at her. Look, she's nervous. Like, they talk about you in the third person. And I went, this is a very widely watched television program. People are watching this show.
You got to destroy the Walsh house. I feel like that was such a symbolic thing.
I had forgotten about that too. I totally forgot that was,
And thank God you could draw a heart the first time.
Right.
I mean, we're very proud of you. Actors sometimes,
I did think to
they
myself,
let you down.
I thought when I rewatched it, I wondered if I had screwed that up the first time. I thought, oh my gosh, that must have felt a lot of pressure doing that.
Our friend, I was going to just ask something similar, because we talked to Jamie Walters a few weeks back, and, he has a really interesting relationship with the show because, he was touring and his character had all this trouble with Tori or Donna. And, people had said to him, would yell at him at the supermarket, about what had happened.
Oh my gosh.
Leave Donna alone. Don't hurt her.
Our friend Peter is wondering if you had that happen to you at all with what Ginger was doing or had done, or any of the characters that you played.
No, I think that people, and certainly in terms of Ginger, I think they really enjoyed her. Like I never had any negative backlash from that at all. People, I think, really just thought they enjoyed it. And people would, for Clueless, the TV show, people would come up to me and say things, about episodes, but it was never negative. They would say things like, you really wanted to be prom queen, walking down the street. I'm walking down Fifth Avenue in New York, and these girls come up and they're like, you wanted to be prom queen so bad. And I'm going, what are you talking about? So it's more like that, or people would quote things and you don't always remember.
Yeah.
I don't always remember the things, the lines. And the things. So
I hope this scene is going to be in your movie. I want to see that.
Oh, there are some things like that in it. Yes.
Yeah. What I want to ask you, Elisa, the 90s, we've talked about that before. The 90s are getting this some love now, which I love because I'm a 90s kid. What is your relationship with the 90s? You were in one of the biggest movies from the 90s, and everybody's kind of looking back on it now. How does that make you feel to look back on all this stuff? And what's your thoughts on it? There's that movie Kid 90 where
yes, the Lay's movie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she says, are things as good as we remember them? I'm curious what your thoughts are looking back at yourself as a young actor working in the 90s and how it relates to you now.
I think, when people always ask, this is a great question because I've never been asked it in that context. People always say, did you know that these things were going to be successful, or how does it feel to be a part of these kinds of pop culture phenomena? And I never know what to say because I don't know anything else. Like, I was living through it in that way. And also, but I wasn't a little kid. I wasn't 17 and 18 was just, I guess I was young. I was like 22 or something. So I guess it is still pretty young, but I didn't grow up in the business. I wasn't an 8-year-old TV star. So I feel like, at that time, all of the film and TV was so lighthearted in a way, or not lighthearted, but there was a kind of a brightness to it.
Sure.
And I really loved that. I think that there's something that's very hopeful about that, and optimistic. And I think that's a really nice thing, although, sometimes it's a little too shiny and happy, but, sure. Mm-hmm. But I think in general, I really appreciate that about that time. And, but I guess things also kind of get a little blurred. I do remember at one time wearing seeing someone wearing like the socks we would wear knee high socks, I think in Clueless or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, what is that person doing? And and someone say to me, it's because of the movie that you were in. That's why they're doing that, And I was like, oh, right, because we just wear sweatpants to work. So
that's hilarious.
Sorry, can I ask one Sabrina question?
Go for it. Yeah.
Because I loved Sabrina too. And because like on 90210, I feel like maybe one of the reasons people didn't get upset and love Ginger so much is because you didn't really mess with any like of the relationships that maybe the fans were like overly obsessed with at the time. Like I think Valerie and David were maybe controversial if you like shipped them or whatever you want to say. But you dated Harvey on Sabrina, right?
Yes.
So was that ever like, because Sabrina and Harvey, I mean, that's a big one.
People did not like that, but I think because they were so happy that he came back to the show, that I think that overrode their anger with me, because she also, what was that character's name? Morgan also dated David Lasher's character. So this is a recurring theme in my career. I'm always playing people that are sleeping with a lot of people.
Well, we're all thinking that word. That's all right.
So I think they were happier just to see Harvey back, maybe.
Okay, cool.
And they probably knew historically Morgan tends to, these things don't last, is I think probably what the feeling was.
Nestor wants to know, would you ever do a reboot for any of the shows or movies that you did?
Oh, yeah. I mean, sure. I think Sabrina would be very fun. I know everybody wants to see a Clueless, and they're always asking about that, but I just don't know if that's in the cards. And I don't know that Amy Heckerling wants to. I think she was really not happy with the TV series, and that wasn't a pleasant experience for her, I don't think. And she only stayed on for 1 year as the showrunner. And I enjoyed doing the show. It was super fun for us, but by the end, everybody was kind of a little bit exhausted. But I mean, sure, I would do it. I think it would be so hilarious to see some of these characters today as adults or as parents. God help us. It would be really, I think it would be
absolutely right.
Really comedic. And I think it would be great. Yeah.
Alicia Silverstone was offered the part of Valerie. I just remember.
Really?
Oh, she was?
I think so. Also, Drew Barrymore. First the Drew Barrymore, as I remember. And then, I mean, it would have been a different character. Alyssa Milano too. Yeah, it would have been a different character. These might have been conversations more than serious office, but those are names that were on our list at the time. But
wow.
We were very lucky to have found Tiffany, and because we just needed that at that time. It just worked out.
Larry, you had a chance to look back on Elisa's work and the episodes. What do you think looking back all these years later?
I'm so happy with it because, first of all, she just jumps off the screens. I mean, Lisa's work, she has that character. I mean, and we were able the second time around, because we had seen what she did, we were able to kind of notch it up a bit more, which again, because it was a sweeps episode, I'm sure the shows, drew 12, 15 million people, I'm sure, which was good. And like I said, she served the show brilliantly because we needed someone to break up David and Valerie so we could get on with Donna and back to Donna.
Yeah. Sarah,
thank you.
Anything else that you want to ask Elisa?
No, I think, have you seen any of the new Dark Sabrina, by the way, now that we're talking about reboots? Because it's dark.
I haven't, no. Okay. And not because I have any sort of thing against it. I just haven't seen it. But it's very dark, right?
It's very dark, but I feel like that show would make the most sense. Like I could totally see Melissa Joan Hart like finding a way to bring back Sabrina the way. So like back
we're always saying things like, let's pitch something, like let's go to Australia and shoot it over there. What can she be doing there? Or trying to
where
some kind of
where would Ginger be?
Good question.
I think I would hope that Ginger Fondley would have found somebody. At least, she might be going through a couple of husbands, separation money by now. Probably, she probably has a younger boyfriend and is living in Mexico.
Definitely.
Probably has some pretty good, she probably got paid off pretty well, in the end. Because I think she had gifts. I think she had physical gifts. That much I feel certain of because she had a confidence about her.
I think Ginger would be starting The Real Housewives of Buffalo.
Maggie says,
I think when you're a redhead, you're always going to be called, your character's always going to be called Ginger also, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I know. Ginger, Amber, always.
Red.
I think we've covered this pretty good. Elisa, I just want to thank you for coming here. And I'm all about gratitude these days. I just want to say thank you for all the work that you did in that time period that we talked about. You enriched all of our lives through the material and everything that you brought to it. 90210, Clueless, all of the stuff that we talked about today. So we're just so grateful for your time and grateful for you and all the work that you did all those years ago. And you continue to do. So we're really excited about your book as well. And make sure everybody goes out and grabs that right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As I said when we started, I loved doing the show so much. It was a great joy all around from start to finish. And you can always tell when something, whatever that statement is about that, if something's rotten from the top, you can feel it down. And it was such a joy the whole time for me. I loved it. I loved the material. And I'm going to watch the fourth one, because watching the third one, I went, she is she is taking over this hotel room, this phone, this everything. She is just like, I am back and I am here to make some noise.
She outplays Valerie. That was the fun.
We all need a little Ginger in our life, don't we?
We do. Thank you so much for having me. I loved it.
It was fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. And we will see everybody next week when we have Jenny.
Bye, Sarah. Take care.
All right. Everybody have a good one.